Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. This is a continuation of last week. Last week, we covered correspondence, public figures from Eretz Yisrael only. Rabbanim, Rosh Yeshivas, politicians, all dignitaries that send the Rebbe brachas l'koved the Rebbe's birthday, Yud Aleph Nisan. Today I want to share with you some of the dignitaries from the entire world, correspondents that send the Rebbe wishes. Presidents, governors, mayors, senators, kings, vice presidents, councilmen, and more. Besides Rabbanim, Rosh Yeshivas, Askonim, that had correspondence with the Rebbe. Rabbi Mindel was sent by the Frierdiker Rebbe to Washington in the 40s, early 40s, about release time and more things. So I want to share with you, and I'm going to show you here some pictures of the 500 rabbis that the Rebbe and the Frierdiker Rebbe were involved. They needed a delegation to go to Washington, and this was in the time of the Milchama. This was in 1943. And here are some photos that Rabbi Mindel took, and it's called the March of 500 Rabbis. And I want to just go through those pictures. The Rebbe sent Rabbi Quint, Rabbi Zalman Shner Zalman Gorari, Rabbi Binyamin Levitin, and Rabbi Nissim Mindel to go to Washington then. And these are notes also that Rabbi Mindel wrote what happened then. And I'm going to read these notes while you see the pictures of the 500 rabbis, whatever Rabbi Mindel took. Some of them are not that clear, but this is what he took. And I'm going to read to you the notes from in the 43. The Frierdiker Rebbe sent them to Washington. He wrote like this: "This was a March 1943 by 500 rabbis. The main speaker was Rabbi Kamenetsky, and also this march was led by Rabbi Harav Eliezer Silver, Harav Yitzchok Rosenberg, Harav Mordechai Friedman, the Buyana Rebbe, and Dov Leventhal. Also on the march was the Bostoner Rebbe, as you can see in the pictures. This march was on behalf of Jewish Yidden in Europe. They were thrown in the oven, Holocaust, and no one wanted to listen. The Rebbe sent Mindel, Gorari, Leventhal, Quint, a representative of Chabad. That's how Rabbi Mindel writes. This took place 3 days before Yom Kippur. Rabbis marched from Union Station to the Capitol, where they were met by Vice President Henry Wallace and also members of the Congress. There, Harav Silver read the petition to the president in Hebrew and English. Harav Silver was crying when he read. And this is what he said: children, infants, and elderly men and women are crying to us, help. Millions already died, sentenced to fire and sword, and thousands already died of starvation. And how can we stand and pray, daven, on the holy day of Yom Kippur, knowing what we haven't fulfilled our responsibility. So we came broken-hearted on the eve of the holiest day of Yom Kippur to ask you, President Roosevelt, to form a special agency to rescue the remainder of the Jewish nation in Europe. So he writes, they walked to the Lincoln Memorial where they prayed for the welfare of the president and for the Jewish in Hitler's Europe. Harav Meltzer said to Hillel, the Bostoner Rebbe, and Harav Kamenetsky. Rabbi Mindel writes in his notes, when the rabbis reached the gates of the White House, unbelievable, they were stunned to be told that the president was unavailable to meet with the delegates. What the rabbis did not know was that FDR, that means President Roosevelt, top Jewish advisors, Rabbi Weiss, Rosenman, and more, persuaded the President Roosevelt to avoid the rabbis by leaving the White House through a rear exit. They did not want the president to give the rabbis attention. They thought this will bring anti-Semitism. The rabbis were very disappointed, especially that the Jewish advisors told the president not to meet. Weiss and other Jewish advisors to the president, the demonstration was not important to them. So the president does not have to pay attention to them. Rabbi Mindel writes, it was a tragic day. This came from Jews. Then he says, a Rebbe said, I don't know which Rebbe this was, maybe when he came back to the Frierdiker Rebbe, maybe one of the people, it says, a Rebbe said, I can't feel anything positive about President Roosevelt knowing the end result. And as Rebbe added, the president failed the cause not just one time, but through years of Nazi persecution. Nothing was done bringing refugees to the United States, not doing anything to protect the Jews that were being herded into freight cars and brought death camps. It was known that President Roosevelt's daily schedule, he writes, October 1st through the 6th, 1943, and he says, note that on Wednesday, when they came, October 6th, the day the rabbis marched, he had nothing scheduled between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, meaning there was nothing preventing him from meeting the rabbi when they came to the White House that afternoon. And only because of these Jews and the rabbi Jews, unfortunately, they shouldn't be called rabbis, they prevented from the president not to see these Yidden. Now here we can learn that we always have to stand up to what's right. Whatever happened. He came back to the Frierdiker Rebbe. He told this to the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe was, can you imagine how upset the Frierdiker Rebbe was? And the Frierdiker Rebbe, as he mentioned over here, Bichlal, he gives credit al Yevish mipnei hamaligim. I don't want to end off with this, so I'm going to end off with one proclamation that President Ronald Reagan wrote about the Yud Aleph Nisan. In recognition of Rabbi Schneerson's achievements and in celebration of his 85th birthday, the Congress, by House Joint Resolution 200, has designated April 10th, 1987 as Education Day USA and authorized and requested the president to issue a proclamation in observance of this event. Now, therefore, I, Ronald Reagan, President of the United States of America, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 10th, 1987 as Education Day USA and call upon the people of the United States, and in particular our teachers and other educational leaders, to observe that day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. In witness thereof, I have set my hand this 9th day of April in the year of our Lord 1987 and of the independence of the United States of America, the 211th. And Ronald Reagan signs this. So this is a proclamation that he wrote. So Mirza Hashem, next week we will continue more of the proclamation that the people wrote. Thank you.